Welcome, YouTube, to the 9th day of Phylo. Today, I want to talk about some of my favorite games that I used to play at my neighbor's house, games that I didn't own and systems that I didn't own at the time growing up in the 90s. So I've mentioned before that I had the N64, and I also had before that the Sega Genesis. So I've never had a Super Nintendo, and I never had the original PlayStation until much later. So when I had friends that had these systems and I could have a chance to play some games that I would never normally play, I definitely took advantage of it. I can remember a couple friends that had Super Nintendo. At my friend Andy's house, we would stay up all night playing either one of the NHL games, which we just thought was funny because you could actually get into fights, and that would be the main reason we'd play that game, or Super Metroid. We'd just stay up literally all night playing that. And I guess also Super Mario Kart. And now, being that it was his system and I had the Sega Genesis at the time, he was much better at me with Super Mario Kart, but it was still a lot of fun. It was a good game. I had several friends that had the PlayStation while I had the N64, and while I would argue still that the N64 is the superior system, there are still some good games on the PlayStation that aren't on the N64. One of those games would have to be Spyro the Dragon. The original Spyro the Dragon was a fantastic platformer. I haven't played the remasters that were re-released a couple years ago now. Maybe I will eventually, but I remember the first game being pretty good. My friend Paul, who lived in the neighborhood, had the PlayStation with Spyro the Dragon, and I think one of the most amusing parts of it was how every single dragon that you'd free would always say, "Thank you for releasing me," in some sort of voice like that, and we just thought it was just the funniest thing ever. Is it really that funny, or maybe we just have a good memory of it? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Another game that I used to play at my friend Paul's house that was not on the N64 was the original Driver. Driver was just a great game. I probably wasn't going to be allowed to own this game if I had a PlayStation anyways, so I'd go over to my friend Paul's house to play it. I feel like Driver kind of set the groundwork for what Grand Theft Auto is today, because at the time Grand Theft Auto was more top-down, and Driver was actually played a lot like what Grand Theft Auto became, I guess. If you haven't played Driver, I definitely recommend checking that one out. I've only played the first two, and I think there's at least 4 or 5, and I'm not sure how good the other ones are, if they are even worth your time, but the first two definitely were classics. Now, when it came to the next generation after that, I did not own the PS2, I had the GameCube, but I had friends who had both the Xbox and the PS2. I think most friends actually had the PS2. I remember going to my friend Joe's house when the PS2 first came out, and I think one of the only games he had was Ace Combat 4, I think it was. And I remember thinking, like, wow, look at the graphics. This is way better than anything that came before. And again, like when I first saw Super Mario 64, I thought, this is it. This is the best that graphics will ever be. And I haven't seen that game in over 20 years. I don't know how well it's held up, but at least at the time in 2001, you could not do better. I was also kind of jealous of other friends who had the Xbox because you could play that online. And GameCube, I think GameCube did have like 2 games that you could kind of play online. I think there was a Phantasy Star Online game for the GameCube, but I never played any of the games online, and Xbox Live was just a way better setup than anything Nintendo had to offer even today, but especially in 2001. So what I want to know in the comment section below is, if you had a certain console of a certain generation and maybe friends had other ones, were you jealous? Did you want one of those games or those systems? Did you think, like I did, I talked about how Metroid Prime is better than Halo, even though it's not really comparable or fair to even say that. So there's only a couple days left in the 12 days of Phylo. If you've been enjoying this story so far, let me know which one's been your favorite, and be sure to subscribe because I have plenty more adventures coming up in the next few months. We'll see you around.